maybe jump to how his charitable giving strategy.
Yeah, Jensen and his wife have also made a lot of charitable gifts. Some of them have been made to his donor advised fund called G-Force Donor Advised Fund. And some of his charitable gifts have been made to a private foundation called the Jensen and Lori Wang Foundation, which is a private foundation that the two of them control as board members. Why do this? So it's not really a tax strategy per se, although it does save a lot of taxes. So it saves income taxes because Jensen and his wife get basically 30% income tax deductions, 20% for the foundation, but 30% for the DAF. Whenever they get 100%. They get 100% charitable
Just to
deduction.
be clear, what that
Limited
means,
30% or 20% of adjusted gross
if
income.
they give $1 million to those
Yeah.
things, they get $1 million charitable deduction,
Yeah.
which means they can lower their taxable income from $10 million to $9. If they give $1 million to their foundation or DAF, they get $1 million deduction to reduce their, let's say their income was $10 million, they would go from $10 million to $9 million. When Peter says 30 or 60%, there are limitations on how much of your income in a given year you can write off, and it's a percentage of what's called your adjusted gross income or your total income, and that it's a percentage that depends on what's the charitable beneficiary and the type of asset you donate, right?
Yeah. So in Jensen's case, he's effectively getting 30% or 20% annual deductions because the amounts that he's giving to charity are so large that I doubt his AGI is high enough to cover. So if you give, if your income is $50 million and you're contributing $1 billion a year to charity, you're never going to be able to use that full charitable deduction because you're going to be limited to maybe 30% a year, and you're just never going to be able to use it. And so in his case, he's probably getting 30% annual charitable deductions. But that means that if his income would normally be $50 million, it's going to be $35 million instead. And so that's an income tax savings. And then also the assets, because they're outside of his estate, when he dies, there's not going to be estate tax on those amounts that he's given to the DAF and the foundation. Now, are his kids better off because he's given all this money to a foundation and a DAF? Probably not in absolute terms, because every dollar you give to charity is a dollar that you're not getting personally. And donor advised funds and foundations, when you give away the money, that money's gone. You're not getting anything back as a remainder. So it's probably not, it's not really enriching his kids. It's not, if you're trying to save estate tax, you give money to a donor advised fund. But if you're charitable, it's a pretty efficient way to give to charity.
Yeah. And before we go, I'm just going to pull up, I know there's a couple different strategies here. And first of all, if you're worried about gifts and estate taxes, it's obviously a good position to be in. I'm just going to share we have a tool that can help you understand what are these structures and what's the financial benefits. So we call this, it's our comparison tool where you can select which types of structures. As we talk about these digits, these graphs. We're not talking about Crummy Trust today, slats, irrevocable life insurance trusts. You can do this, select based on where you live, how old you are, your net worth, how much you're looking to contribute, all these other inputs, and you can actually see what is the value of these structures on a relative basis, what's the highest yielding ones, what are some other options that make sense here, and really deep dive into what are the year-by-year numbers over time, how do they look like over different time horizons, and what are the other trade-offs and benefits, whether you retain control, there's distribution, if you're able to take liquidity or loans from the trust back to yourself, or swap assets with the trust based on kind of those pieces. All of these tools are kind of to help you understand the trade-offs, qualitatively and quantitatively, and benefits of these structures to help you make a better decision and move forward.